The Stoic's Journey, 11 Lessons in Love and Wisdom. Chapter 1, The Stoic Mindset and the Heart's Dilemma. Ethan Carter had always prided himself on being a man of discipline and logic. A devout follower of Stoic philosophy, he lived by the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, believing that emotions were fleeting, attachment led to suffering, and self-control was the highest virtue. But there was one aspect of life where his stoicism often felt like a double-edged sword: his relationships with women. At 35, Ethan had everything: an established career, financial stability, and a well-ordered life. Yet love remained a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. His last relationship had ended with the words, "You feel nothing, Ethan. I can't be with someone who treats love like a philosophy book." Determined to grow, Ethan embarked on a journey of self-reflection, realizing that being smart didn't just mean knowing facts and theories, it meant understanding human connection. And so, he began uncovering 11 key mistakes he had made, mistakes that every smart man should avoid with women. 1. Ignoring emotional needs. Ethan had always believed that love was about presence and logic, not grand gestures or emotional validation. When he met Sophia, a passionate, expressive woman, he admired her energy but struggled with her emotional depth. She would share her fears, her dreams, her vulnerabilities, and Ethan would simply nod, offering rational solutions instead of emotional support. One night after she had a tough day at work, she looked at him with frustration. "I don't need you to fix it, Ethan. I just need you to listen." That night he realized, intelligence isn't just about solving problems. It's about understanding emotions, even when they don't have logical explanations. 2. Treating love like a debate. Stoics love philosophy. Ethan was no different. He enjoyed deep discussions about life, ethics, and human nature. But love wasn't a debate to be won. During an argument, Sophia once said, "Do you always have to prove a point? Can't you just understand how I feel?" Ethan had thought relationships were about rationality, but he learned that sometimes being right wasn't as important as being kind. 3. Suppressing feelings in the name of Stoicism. Ethan had grown up believing that strong men didn't show emotions. Stoicism, to him, had meant controlling feelings to the point of emotional detachment. But one evening, after a romantic dinner, Sophia confessed, "I never know if you love me because you never say it." Ethan had believed actions were enough. But love wasn't just about actions. It was about words, reassurance, and vulnerability. That night he whispered something he rarely said. "I love you." And in her smile, he saw the power of emotional expression. 4th, underestimating the power of spontaneity. Ethan planned everything: his mornings, his meals, his routines. Spontaneity felt like chaos to him. One weekend, Sophia suggested a last-minute trip to the countryside. Ethan hesitated. No plan, no itinerary. "Sometimes," she said, "you just have to enjoy the moment." That weekend, as they watched the sunset without an agenda, Ethan realized that life wasn't meant to be controlled. It was meant to be lived. 5. Expecting logic to solve every conflict. Whenever arguments arose, Ethan would dissect them logically, breaking them into structured points. But relationships weren't legal cases. They were human experiences. During one argument, Sophia said, "Not everything has to make sense. Sometimes I just feel things." That was when Ethan learned that emotions weren't always meant to be solved. Sometimes they were meant to be felt and acknowledged. 6th, viewing vulnerability as weakness. Stoicism had taught Ethan to be resilient, to never let emotions overpower reason. But in doing so, he had built walls too high. One night, Sophia opened up about her fears of failure, of loneliness, of the unknown. She waited for him to share something in return, but he remained silent. "Do you trust me enough to be vulnerable with me?" she asked. And that was when Ethan realized true strength wasn't about never breaking. It was about trusting someone enough to let them see your cracks. 7th, believing that independence means isolation. Ethan valued his independence. He believed in self-reliance and never asking for help. But one day he fell sick, refusing to let Sophia take care of him. She was hurt. Love is about partnership, Ethan. You don't have to do everything alone. That day he understood. Independence didn't mean pushing people away. It meant being strong enough to let them in. 8. Avoiding difficult conversations. Ethan hated unnecessary drama. If something felt like a problem, he preferred to ignore it rather than engage in emotional conversations. But ignoring issues never made them disappear. One evening, Sophia confronted him. "You avoid difficult conversati